The day aliens answered back. The world had been waiting for this moment for decades. Since the first mysterious signals were picked up from deep space, humanity had wondered if we were truly alone. Governments, scientists, and ordinary people alike had spent countless hours trying to decode the strange sequences, hoping to find a message. And now, after years of effort, the impossible was about to happen. It began at the Global Space Communication Center, a massive complex perched on a remote mountain in Chile. Dr. Elena Torres, one of the lead scientists, stared at the main console, her fingers frozen above the keyboard. On the large screen, a new transmission flickered. It was different from all the previous signals, orderly, deliberate, unmistakably intelligent. Elena's assistant, a young man named Ravi, leaned over her shoulder. "Dr. Torres, this is it. I think they are responding." Elena took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. "Check the translation protocols again. We can't afford mistakes." Ravi nodded and began feeding the data through the advanced decoding program. As the sequences processed, a series of symbols slowly transformed into words. The text scrolled across the screen, first in a strange alien language, then gradually in English. "We have watched you. We have waited. We are ready to speak." The room went silent. Elena's mind struggled to process the words. This was no longer a signal. This was communication. They were not just aliens, they were aware, intelligent beings capable of understanding us. Outside the center, the news had already begun to spread. Social media exploded with speculation, excitement, and fear. Headlines ran across screens around the world. "Aliens answer back. Are we ready? First contact confirmed." People looked to the skies, wondering what the future held. Dr. Torres and her team worked tirelessly to establish a stable communication link. Every word sent back and forth felt monumental. They asked questions, shared basic information about Earth, and even sent images of humanity, nature, and cities. Every reply was patient and precise, demonstrating knowledge far beyond anything humans could imagine. Elena couldn't help but notice how calm and deliberate the alien responses were. There was no immediate threat, no aggressive tone. Yet, there was a subtle sense of warning in their words. "Your planet is fragile. Your species is young. We have observed your history of conflict." It was a message meant to guide, perhaps even to teach. Humanity had spent centuries looking outward, dreaming of contact, and now that the moment had arrived, it was clear that these beings saw us as both curious and dangerous. Meanwhile, governments across the world began holding emergency meetings. The United Nations called an unprecedented summit, with leaders trying to decide how to handle the contact. Should they openly reveal every detail, or keep some information classified? Could the aliens be trusted? And most importantly, what did they want from Earth? As hours turned into days, a pattern in the aliens' messages began to emerge. They were not here to invade, nor to destroy. Instead, they seemed to offer knowledge, solutions to problems that had plagued humanity for centuries: energy crises, diseases, climate change. But there was a condition. Trust must be earned. Cooperation must be mutual. "We will help, but only if your species proves readiness." Dr. Torres felt the weight of the responsibility. She knew that the world was watching her, and the slightest mistake could lead to panic or worse. She gathered her team in the conference room, her voice steady but firm. "We have a chance that no one else in history has had," she said. "These beings could change the course of our civilization. But they are testing us, our patience, our unity, and our willingness to act wisely. Every decision we make in the next few days will matter more than anything we've done before." The team nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Outside the center, society was already beginning to change. People who had once argued over politics or religion now found themselves united by a common curiosity. Conversations about survival, cooperation, and the future became daily discussions in homes, schools, and workplaces. But not everyone was ready to embrace the message. Some saw the aliens as a threat. Conspiracy theories spread quickly, warning of hidden agendas, mind control, and alien manipulation. Militant groups formed, claiming that humanity should resist or even destroy the signals. In some cities, protests erupted, blending fear with anger. Despite the growing tension, Dr. Torres remained focused. She continued the dialogue, careful with every word. She sent questions about the aliens' technology, about their civilization, and about the possibility of visiting their world. Each reply was cautious but informative, revealing glimpses of a culture advanced beyond comprehension. One day, a new message arrived. It was longer than any before, filled with diagrams, equations, and concepts that challenged the very limits of human understanding. Knowledge is a responsibility. Misuse can destroy. Choose carefully. Begin by healing your planet. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. The aliens were giving them tools, not to control the world, but to save it. They were offering guidance for humanity's survival, but with a warning: failure could mean the end of life as humans knew it. And so, the day that aliens answered back was not the day of celebration or fear. It was the day humanity was forced to confront itself. For the first time, the world looked not only to the stars but also within, questioning whether humans were ready for what they had wished for all along. True contact with an alien intelligence, the world was no longer the same. News of the aliens' responses had spread like wildfire, and humanity's fascination had turned into urgency. Governments, scientists, and ordinary people were all trying to understand what it meant to truly communicate with another intelligent species. The line between hope and fear had grown thinner than ever. Dr. Elena Torres returned to the control center early that morning, her face pale but determined. Overnight, a new message had arrived. Unlike the previous ones, it contained no words at first, only a pattern of lights and shapes. Ravi, seated beside her, frowned. "What do you make of this?" he asked. Elena studied the shapes carefully. "It's a puzzle," she said slowly. "They are testing us again. They want to see if we can recognize patterns, think logically, and cooperate. Every response we give matters." The team got to work immediately. Mathematicians, linguists, and programmers all crowded around the large screens, comparing the sequences to everything humanity had ever known. Hours passed. Slowly, they began to decode the message, and when the meaning became clear, Elena felt a thrill she could barely contain. Work together. Share knowledge freely. Avoid conflict. Your survival depends on unity. The simplicity of the message belied its depth. The aliens weren't just testing intelligence, they were testing character. Humanity had received a warning in its purest form. Without cooperation, all the gifts and knowledge offered might be wasted. Outside the center, reactions were varied. In cities around the world, people gathered in public squares, holding discussions about the aliens' guidance. Some organized local science projects, trying to replicate the ideas being shared. Others debated ethical questions. Should humanity be trusted with advanced knowledge? Could it lead to war, or would it save the planet? Yet not everyone was inspired. Certain governments began to restrict information, claiming that too much knowledge could cause mass panic. Rumors spread of alien technology being hidden or controlled. Groups of extremists started forming, warning that the aliens were a trap, an experiment designed to manipulate or destroy humans. Amid this chaos, Dr. Torres kept her focus on the task at hand. She drafted a careful, measured response, acknowledging the instructions, promising cooperation, and asking for more detailed guidance. It took hours to craft the message. One wrong word could mislead the aliens or escalate tensions on Earth. When the response finally arrived, it was unlike anything before. It contained not just words or symbols, but images. Cities powered by clean energy, crops growing in deserts, oceans restored to pristine conditions. Each image seemed almost magical, a vision of a future that humanity had only dreamed of. Elena stared at the screen, her eyes wide. "They are showing us what's possible," she whispered. "They are giving us the blueprint to save ourselves." Ravi nodded, equally awestruck. "But, is it safe? Can we actually do it?" Elena didn't answer immediately. The truth was, she didn't know. The alien knowledge was advanced far beyond human technology. Applying it incorrectly could be catastrophic. And yet, she understood the responsibility placed upon her, to guide humanity toward a future that could either be miraculous or disastrous. The first project inspired by the alien messages was energy. Scientists around the world began experimenting with methods the aliens had hinted at: compact fusion reactors, devices that could extract clean energy from the atmosphere, and materials that seemed to resist decay and pollution. Within weeks, prototype machines began to work, astonishing even the experts. Meanwhile, social tension was rising. Cities were divided between those who embraced the aliens' guidance and those who distrusted it. In some places, protests turned violent. People feared change more than stagnation, and rumors of hidden agendas fanned the flames. Dr. Torres realized that technology alone would not be enough. Humanity needed to understand something deeper: trust. The aliens had given them tools, but they had not given them wisdom. That part was up to humans. One evening, as the team reviewed new messages from the aliens, a startling revelation appeared. A simple line scrolled across the screen. A test is coming. Observe carefully. Choices will define your species. Failure is not inevitable. Elena felt a chill. A test? What kind of test? The aliens provided no further explanation. The team speculated endlessly. Would it be a moral test, a survival challenge, or something more abstract, beyond human comprehension? One thing was certain: humanity had to prepare. Across the globe, citizens began to act differently. Many were inspired by the aliens' vision, starting projects to clean rivers, plant trees, and reduce waste. Schools incorporated lessons about cooperation and global responsibility. Yet in contrast, extremists and skeptics grew louder, warning of an alien trap. Dr. Torres knew that the most dangerous obstacles were not in the stars but on Earth itself: greed, fear, and misunderstanding. Even with the aliens' help, humans could still destroy their chance for survival. Late one night, as she stared at the star-filled sky from the observatory balcony, Elena whispered to herself, "We've been given a gift. But can we prove we're worthy of it?" Ravi joined her, his voice low. "Do you think we will?" Elena looked up, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. "I don't know," she said. "But we have to try. We have no choice now." The aliens answered back, "And that means the world is watching. Every action we take, every decision we make, matters more than ever." And so, humanity entered a new era. One filled with possibility, danger, and profound uncertainty. The day the aliens answered back was not just a moment of contact, it was a moment of reckoning. The test had begun, even if no one knew exactly what form it would take. The first signs of the test appeared quietly at first, almost imperceptibly. Cities that had embraced the aliens' guidance noticed unusual phenomena. Machines powered by the alien designs began working with uncanny efficiency, crops in experimental fields grew faster than any human technology could allow, and rivers cleared of pollution almost overnight. At first, it felt like a miracle. But soon, anomalies began to appear. In some areas, energy devices malfunctioned unpredictably. Crops withered in places where human interference had altered the alien instructions. Entire sections of cities experienced temporary blackouts, and some experiments produced dangerous results, frightening scientists and engineers alike. Dr. Elena Torres studied the data with a growing sense of unease. "The aliens aren't just giving us knowledge," she said to her team. "They're observing how we respond to it. Every mistake, every misuse is part of the test." Ravi frowned. "So, it's not just about understanding the technology. It's about responsibility, and perhaps morality." Elena nodded. "Exactly. They want to see if we can handle power without destroying ourselves." The first public incidents began to worry governments. In a European city, an experimental energy reactor overloaded, forcing an evacuation of thousands. In Asia, an experimental crop project accidentally released a chemical imbalance into the soil, harming local wildlife. Fear spread quickly, and the skeptics' voices grew louder. Many began calling for the alien messages to be ignored or destroyed, arguing that the guidance was too dangerous for humanity. Meanwhile, in more cooperative regions, people began to demonstrate remarkable ingenuity and unity. Villages worked together to implement the alien techniques safely, sharing knowledge and resources freely. Entire communities were transformed, showing what humans could achieve when they acted collectively and responsibly. Dr. Torres realized that the test had a dual nature. It was not only about intelligence or technical skill, it was about human behavior, whether people could work together, follow guidance carefully, and place the greater good above personal gain. One evening, a new transmission arrived. This time, the aliens spoke directly, not in symbols, but through images that seemed to reach into the minds of those viewing them. The holographic projections in the control center depicted a vast alien civilization thriving in perfect harmony, their cities clean, their people healthy, and their society peaceful. A voice, clear and calm, echoed in Elena's mind, bypassing language entirely. "You have the tools. You have the choice. Your actions will determine your future. Watch carefully. Learn from each other. Fail, and the consequences are yours to bear." Ravi shivered. "It's like they are speaking directly to us." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Yes. And they are making sure we understand the stakes. This is no longer a simulation. The test is real. Across the globe, communities that resisted the aliens' guidance faced challenges of their own. In the United States, extremist groups tried to sabotage energy experiments, resulting in dangerous malfunctions. In Africa, regions that ignored the alien instructions suffered crop failures that could have been prevented. The contrast between cooperative and resistant areas became increasingly stark. At the Global Space Communication Center, Elena gathered her team. "We are seeing the first consequences of our choices," she said. "We cannot ignore mistakes. We cannot act out of fear or greed. We have to learn, adapt, and work together, or we may fail this test entirely." As the days passed, more strange phenomena appeared. Unexplained lights in the sky, sudden shifts in weather, and a sense of awareness in the natural world hinted that the aliens were not just observing humanity, they were interacting with Earth itself. Rivers seemed to flow more cleanly, forests regrew faster than expected, and animals behaved as if aware of unseen guidance. Dr. Torres began to suspect that the aliens' influence extended far beyond technology and communication. "They are shaping the planet itself," she thought. "And they are using us to decide if we deserve it." Then came the first moral dilemma. The aliens sent a direct message. "You may save some or many. Choose carefully. Actions made in fear or selfishness will undo what you have begun. Watch your leaders, and guide your people wisely." Elena knew instantly that this was a challenge to humanity's ethics. In several regions, resources were limited. Some groups would have to sacrifice their own comfort or safety to ensure the survival of others. The test was no longer theoretical, it demanded action. Across the world, debates raged. Some leaders prioritized their own nations, stockpiling alien technologies for power and influence. Others sought cooperation, sharing knowledge freely and taking collective responsibility. Social media exploded with arguments, but also with hope, as ordinary citizens began forming local councils and volunteer groups to distribute aid and technology responsibly. In the control center, Elena and Ravi monitored the unfolding events. "It's happening faster than we expected," Ravi said, anxiety in his voice. "The aliens are forcing humanity to face itself, all at once." Elena nodded. "This is the moment of truth. Every choice, every mistake, every act of cooperation, it's all part of the measure. We have to prove we can rise above fear and selfishness." That night, as she looked out at the stars, Elena felt a mixture of awe and dread. The aliens were no longer distant observers. They were mentors, judges, and catalysts. Humanity had been given a chance like no other in history, but the outcome was uncertain. And somewhere far beyond Earth, the beings that had answered back watched silently, waiting for humanity to choose, survival through unity or destruction through division. The world was holding its breath. Weeks had passed since the aliens first sent their direct guidance, and humanity's response to the test was becoming more critical by the hour. In some regions, societies were thriving under cooperation and careful application of alien knowledge. In others, fear and selfishness led to chaos. Dr. Elena Torres watched the live feeds from around the globe. Cities with strong cooperation showed remarkable progress. Energy grids stabilized, crops flourished, and communities worked in harmony to apply the alien instructions. Children learned about sustainability, adults collaborated across borders, and people began to understand what it meant to think as one species rather than as isolated nations. But elsewhere, the consequences of human failings were growing dire. In areas where mistrust prevailed, sabotage, greed, and hoarding had created crises. Energy experiments malfunctioned, entire crop fields failed, and social unrest escalated. Protests turned violent in some cities, fueled by fear and rumors of alien trickery. Elena realized that the aliens' test was escalating. They are not just observing knowledge or skill, they are observing human character, she thought. And the outcome depends on our ability to rise above fear and division. Ravi joined her at the observation deck. "Dr. Torres, look at this," he said, pointing at the satellite feed. "Weather anomalies are intensifying near the regions of conflict." Elena frowned. She saw it clearly. Storms, sudden temperature shifts, and unusual cloud formations concentrated in areas where humans were resisting cooperation. "The aliens are responding to us," she murmured. "They are testing how we handle both the gifts and the consequences." A new message arrived, urgent and striking in its clarity. "Choices have consequences. You may act with wisdom or folly. The planet reflects your unity or division. Observe carefully. Learn quickly. Elena gathered her team immediately. It's no longer just theoretical, she said. Every human action, every decision, our leaders' choices, communities' responses, even individuals' behavior, is affecting the outcome. We must help guide humanity through this. In the field, volunteers and scientists mobilized. They coordinated aid to regions struggling to use the alien technology safely. Teams traveled across continents, teaching, sharing resources, and mediating disputes. Social media campaigns promoted cooperation, highlighting success stories and warning of failures. But resistance remained. Governments and groups hoarding alien knowledge argued that their nations should benefit first. Militants tried to destroy alien-derived machines, claiming the messages were a threat to humanity. Cities faced blackouts, and food shortages worsened in areas where the population ignored guidance. Dr. Torres realized that the aliens' test was also psychological. By showing humanity the consequences of division and selfishness, they were forcing humans to confront their flaws. The world could no longer ignore its failings. Cooperation was not a suggestion, it was a requirement for survival. One evening, the aliens sent a new, unprecedented message. A holographic projection appeared in the control center, covering the entire room in light and images. It depicted Earth from space, showing a glowing network of human activity. Areas of unity shone brightly, while areas of conflict were dark, struggling to survive. The alien voice, calm but firm, echoed. Your species is at a crossroads. Survival is possible, but only through collective action. Selfishness endangers all. You have been given tools, guidance, and knowledge. Choose wisely, or your future will be uncertain. Ravi whispered, awed and fearful. It's like they are showing us the planet as a living reflection of ourselves. Elena nodded slowly. They are. And it's terrifying. This is no longer just about learning. They are making us see ourselves, every flaw, every strength, all at once. The next day, a series of crises hit. In one city, a sabotaged energy reactor exploded, causing panic and forcing evacuations. In another, a failed crop experiment threatened to leave tens of thousands without food. But in areas where cooperation and careful planning had been embraced, technology worked flawlessly. Communities shared resources freely, rebuilt damaged infrastructure quickly, and even helped neighboring cities avoid disaster. The contrast was striking. It became clear that the aliens' test was not only about individual actions but also about collective responsibility. Humanity's ability to survive now depended on its ability to unify, not just locally, but globally. Dr. Torres held an emergency global conference via video link, speaking directly to leaders and communities. The aliens are showing us the consequences of our choices, she said. We have been given a gift, but it comes with responsibility. Every selfish act, every refusal to cooperate, risks not just your community but the planet itself. This is our chance to prove we are worthy. Meanwhile, strange phenomena continued. Rivers cleared in areas of cooperation but became polluted where humans fought each other. Wildlife thrived near collaborative cities and disappeared near conflict zones. Even the skies seemed to respond, with auroras and unusual cloud formations marking human success or failure. As the day ended, Elena stood on the observation deck once more, staring at the stars. They are showing us that survival is not just about technology, she said softly. It's about who we are as a species. The aliens answered back. Yes, but now they are asking something far greater. Can we become worthy of their guidance? Ravi placed a hand on her shoulder. Do you think we can? Elena's eyes reflected the distant lights of Earth and the stars beyond. I hope so, she said. But hope is not enough. We have to act. And if humanity fails, then all the gifts, all the knowledge, all the chance for survival, could be lost. And somewhere far above, the alien observers watched, patient and silent, waiting to see whether humanity would rise above its flaws or fall into its own darkness. The test was no longer subtle. Across the globe, humanity was feeling the consequences of every choice, every failure, and every act of cooperation. The aliens' influence on Earth had grown undeniable. Rivers cleared or fouled based on human behavior, crops flourished or withered depending on unity, and even the weather seemed to mirror the collective mood of societies. Dr. Elena Torres sat in the control center, watching live feeds from dozens of cities. The contrast between thriving and failing regions had never been more striking. Cooperative communities gleamed like beacons of light, while areas riddled with distrust and greed struggled to survive. Ravi, working at her side, shook his head. It's almost impossible to believe. The planet itself, it responds to us. We are living in a reflection of our own choices. Elena's fingers hovered over the console. It's more than a reflection, Ravi. This is a test of character, of ethics, of humanity itself. And we are not just observers, we are participants. New transmissions arrived from the aliens, more vivid and urgent than ever. Holographic projections filled the room, showing cities thriving in perfect harmony, forests regenerating, and oceans teeming with life. Then, the images shifted, showing destruction. Entire regions abandoned, machines malfunctioning, and communities collapsing under conflict and fear. A voice, clear and resonant, spoke directly into the minds of everyone in the control center. Your species faces the ultimate choice. Survival requires wisdom, cooperation, and sacrifice. Selfishness destroys. Unity preserves. Act carefully, or the consequences will be yours alone. Elena felt a chill. They are no longer just guiding us, she said quietly. They are forcing us to confront the truth of who we are. In the streets, the test intensified. Energy grids in uncooperative cities began failing catastrophically, causing widespread panic. Crop failures in conflicted regions led to food shortages, riots, and desperate migrations. Social divisions deepened as leaders argued over blame, while ordinary people struggled to survive. At the same time, cooperative regions thrived like never before. Communities that shared resources, followed the alien guidance carefully, and acted selflessly began to show incredible progress. Advanced energy devices operated flawlessly, crops grew in deserts, and cities became cleaner, healthier, and more efficient. People began to realize that survival depended not on power or wealth, but on unity. Dr. Torres called an emergency global broadcast. Humanity, she said, her voice firm, we are at a critical point. The aliens have given us knowledge, but they are also testing our character. Every selfish act, every refusal to cooperate, risks not just individuals but the entire planet. We must work together, every nation, every community, every person. The future depends on it. Some leaders responded immediately, ordering cooperation and resource sharing. International coalitions formed to address crises, and teams of scientists and volunteers worked tirelessly to apply alien knowledge safely. Social media campaigns promoted unity, highlighting success stories and offering guidance. But resistance remained fierce. Extremist groups sabotaged energy devices and experiments, spreading fear and panic. Nations hoarded alien technology, fearing their neighbors might gain an advantage. In some cities, chaos erupted, and law enforcement struggled to maintain order. Elena realized that the aliens' test was not only technical but moral. They were pushing humanity to its limits, forcing people to act selflessly in the face of fear and scarcity. The very survival of society depended on whether humans could rise above selfishness and division. Then, the first real breakthrough came. A small coalition of countries, inspired by the aliens' guidance and led by scientists and volunteers, managed to stabilize an entire region using the advanced energy technology. Crops flourished, rivers cleared, and wildlife returned. News of the success spread like wildfire, inspiring neighboring regions to follow suit. Elena and Ravi watched in awe. It's working, Ravi said. People are learning. They are finally understanding the stakes. But the aliens were not finished. Another transmission arrived, more ominous than before. The holographic projection showed Earth from space, highlighting thriving regions in green and failing regions in red. The red areas pulsated violently, as if warning of imminent collapse. Time is limited. The consequences of selfishness grow. You may still choose wisely. Those who refuse to act will face the results of their own decisions. Humanity will survive only if it rises as one species. The urgency was palpable. Elena knew that humanity had entered a final phase of the test. Cooperation was no longer optional. Those who continued to resist or act selfishly were endangering not just themselves, but the future of all life on Earth. Across the planet, ordinary people began taking responsibility. Farmers shared resources with struggling neighbors. Scientists taught communities how to use alien technology safely. Governments released knowledge and equipment to prevent further disasters. Even extremists, witnessing the scale of the consequences, began to reconsider their actions. For the first time, a sense of global unity began to take shape. People realized that the aliens' test was not a punishment but an opportunity, a chance to prove that humanity could rise above fear, greed, and division. Dr. Torres watched the skies, a mixture of hope and tension in her heart. "This is it," she whispered. "We've been given everything we need to survive. Now, it's up to us to prove we're worthy." Ravi looked at her, eyes wide. "Do you think we can do it?" Elena turned to him, her gaze steady. "I don't know if everyone will, but enough people are starting to understand. If we act together, if we follow the guidance, we might just pass this test." And somewhere far above, the alien observers continued to watch, waiting to see whether humanity would rise as one, or fall into the shadows of its own making. The world had entered a critical stage. It was no longer enough to experiment cautiously or hope that good intentions would suffice. The aliens' presence, subtle yet undeniable, had transformed Earth into a living reflection of humanity's choices. Cities, forests, oceans, and skies responded directly to human behavior, amplifying both cooperation and selfishness. Dr. Elena Torres watched the real-time data from the Global Space Communications Center. The disparities were shocking. Regions that had embraced the aliens' guidance gleamed with life. Energy devices hummed with stability, crops flourished even in harsh climates, and wildlife thrived. Meanwhile, areas rife with fear, greed, or ignorance faced increasing chaos. Reactors malfunctioned, crops failed, and social unrest boiled over into violence. Ravi approached her, concern etched on his face. "Dr. Torres, it's intensifying. The red zones, the regions resisting guidance, they are destabilizing faster than before. Entire cities could collapse if we don't act." Elena's jaw tightened. "I know. The aliens are testing not just skill or intelligence, but humanity's capacity for unity. We can't afford mistakes, and we can't afford inaction." A transmission arrived, filling the room with light. This one was different. The holographic images displayed Earth from space, the entire planet overlaid with colors indicating cooperation and division. Bright green areas pulsed steadily, while deep red zones throbbed with instability. The alien voice, calm yet firm, resonated directly in the minds of those present. "The moment of reckoning has come. Your species must act decisively. Failure to unify will result in consequences of your own making. Those who resist will face the results of division. Those who cooperate may flourish. The choice is yours, collective survival or collapse." Elena felt a chill. "They're giving us one last warning," she said softly. "This is the climax of the test." Across the globe, events escalated rapidly. In regions resistant to cooperation, energy grids collapsed entirely, leaving millions in darkness. Crops withered overnight in areas plagued by selfishness or greed. Social unrest turned to riots, forcing governments to deploy emergency responses. In contrast, cooperative regions experienced breakthroughs beyond imagination. Cities powered entirely by clean energy, deserts transformed into fertile lands, and once polluted rivers now teeming with fish. Dr. Torres realized that humanity's actions were no longer isolated, they were connected globally. Every decision, whether by a nation, a community, or an individual, contributed to the planet's overall stability or instability. The aliens were forcing humans to see that survival required more than technology. It demanded unity, trust, and moral responsibility. In the control center, Elena addressed her team, her voice steady but urgent. "We must help humanity make the right choices. Share knowledge, prevent sabotage, guide leaders, and teach communities to cooperate. This is not just science, this is survival." Ravi nodded, quickly coordinating with volunteers worldwide. "We're reaching as many people as possible. Social media campaigns, local councils, cooperative projects, everything must be connected." Even as they worked, crises continued. Militants sabotaged energy devices in resistant zones, food shortages worsened, and fear spread. Yet, the successes in cooperative regions began to inspire change. Neighboring communities saw the tangible benefits of unity, prompting a slow but growing movement toward collaboration. Elena felt the weight of the moment. "This is more than a test of technology or intelligence," she said. "It's a test of character, of humanity's willingness to rise above fear and selfishness. The aliens are asking one thing: can we act as one species?" Then came a moment that would define the course of the test. A new alien transmission appeared, larger and more vivid than any before. The holographic projection of Earth showed the planet as a whole, with areas of division still glowing red. But now, threads of green began spreading from cooperative zones into the failing regions, as if signaling hope and connection. "The potential exists. Humanity can choose to rise or fall. Actions now will determine the future. Unity is the path to survival. Division is the path to destruction. Elena turned to Ravi. This is it. The final push. Every choice matters. Every community, every person, they must act together now. Across the globe, ordinary citizens began responding. Farmers shared seeds and knowledge with struggling neighbors. Engineers repaired malfunctioning machines in failing regions. Communities reached across borders to help each other, sometimes risking their own safety to ensure collective survival. Slowly, the balance began to shift. The alien influence intensified. Natural disasters in conflicted areas subsided when cooperation emerged, and ecological recovery accelerated in regions embracing unity. It was clear that humanity's actions were being measured, and that the planet itself was responding. Elena watched the satellite feeds, awe and tension mixing in her chest. "We may still pass this test," she whispered. "But it depends on whether enough of humanity can act together, wisely and selflessly." Ravi's eyes met hers, hope shining through exhaustion. "I think we can do it. If people keep choosing unity, we might actually succeed." Elena nodded. "We must act quickly. The aliens are watching. This is the moment that will define the species." And far beyond Earth, the alien observers waited silently, their presence unseen but undeniable, gauging whether humanity would rise as one or falter under its own divisions. The planet hung in balance, every action magnified, every decision consequential. The final phase of the test had begun. The world teetered on the edge of a new reality. The aliens' test, now at its climax, had pushed humanity to its limits. Every choice, every act of cooperation or selfishness was being amplified on a global scale. Cities, forests, oceans, and skies reflected humanity's collective behavior in real time. Dr. Elena Torres watched the data streams with a mix of fear and hope. For the first time, she could see the planet's pulse, a network of responses to human actions. Green zones of cooperation were expanding steadily, while red zones of resistance still burned fiercely. The tension was palpable. Ravi approached her, eyes wide. "Dr. Torres, look at this. The red zones are shrinking faster than ever, but some areas are holding on stubbornly. If they resist too long, it could undo everything." Elena nodded, understanding the stakes. "This is the final challenge. The aliens are showing us the consequences of every choice. Humanity must act as one, now or never." Across the globe, the pressure intensified. In resistant regions, energy devices began to fail catastrophically, crops withered, and social unrest surged. Panic gripped the population, forcing governments to make drastic decisions. Meanwhile, cooperative zones flourished, providing a stark contrast: thriving communities, clean rivers, abundant food, and stable energy. Dr. Torres addressed the world through an unprecedented global broadcast. "Humanity," she said, her voice steady and firm, "we are at the decisive moment. The aliens have given us knowledge, guidance, and the tools to survive. But they are also testing our character. Every choice, every act of cooperation, every selfless decision matters. Unity is the key to survival. Division will bring destruction." Her words resonated worldwide. Communities rallied, sharing resources, technology, and knowledge across borders. Volunteers traveled to struggling regions to help repair energy grids, stabilize crops, and restore infrastructure. Social media campaigns spread cooperation and hope, countering fear and division. Yet resistance persisted. Some groups, driven by fear, greed, or ideology, continued to sabotage projects and hoard alien technology. In these areas, disasters escalated. Blackouts, food shortages, and social unrest created chaos. The aliens' next transmission arrived, more powerful and vivid than any before. The holographic image of Earth filled the control center, showing the planet's pulse with astonishing clarity. The green of cooperation now spread like veins of light, pushing back the red of resistance. The voice echoed in Elena's mind, calm yet commanding. "The final phase is upon you. The choice is yours, collective survival or self-destruction. Every action is measured. Every decision matters. Unite, or face the consequences of division. Humanity's destiny is in your hands." Elena and Ravi watched, awe and fear mingling in their hearts. The aliens were no longer passive observers. They were guiding, judging, and amplifying the consequences of human behavior. The planet itself had become a mirror of humanity's choices. In the decisive hours, a remarkable transformation began. Communities that had resisted cooperation began to see the benefits of unity. Leaders, scientists, and citizens collaborated across former divides, repairing damaged infrastructure, sharing knowledge, and stabilizing energy networks. Fear gave way to hope as people witnessed the tangible results of selflessness and collaboration. In the Global Space Communication Center, Elena monitored the final surge of change. The planet's pulse, once fractured and chaotic, now glowed steadily with green energy. Humanity was responding, rising above fear and selfishness to embrace collective action.
Ravi let out a long breath.
It's working, we're actually doing it. Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the screen. The aliens test, it's not just about technology or knowledge. It's about whether we can act as one species, responsibly and wisely. And I think we're proving that we can. Suddenly, the alien transmission shifted. The holographic Earth transformed into a radiant vision of the future. Cities thriving in harmony, oceans teeming with life, deserts blooming with vegetation, and humans collaborating globally. The alien voice, serene and powerful, spoke once more. You have learned. You have chosen unity over division. You have proven that your species is capable of cooperation, responsibility, and moral growth. The gifts you have been given are now yours to use wisely. Continue on this path, and your survival is assured. A sense of awe and relief washed over Elena and her team.
Humanity had passed the test.
The alien observers, who had silently watched for so long, had confirmed that Earth's inhabitants were worthy of their guidance. Across the globe, celebrations erupted. But they were different from ordinary celebrations. They were filled with reflection, gratitude, and newfound responsibility. People understood that their survival was not guaranteed, and that the future depended on continued cooperation, selflessness, and moral responsibility. Dr. Torres addressed the world one final time. The aliens answered back, yes. And in doing so, they tested us, not our intelligence, but our character. Today, humanity has proven that we can rise above fear, division, and selfishness.
The future is in our hands.
Let us not squander it. And far beyond Earth, the alien observers retreated, satisfied. Their purpose had been fulfilled. Humanity had been given a second chance, a chance to survive, to grow, and to become worthy of the gifts that the universe had offered. For the first time in history, humans looked not only to the stars with hope but also to each other with understanding, realizing that unity and responsibility were the true keys to survival. The test was over. The aliens had answered back, and humanity had risen to meet the challenge. The world woke to a new reality. The test was over, and humanity had passed. Yet, the victory was not one of conquest or power. It was a victory of unity, responsibility, and moral growth. Cities once struggling now thrived, deserts bloomed, and rivers that had been poisoned ran clear again. The planet itself seemed to breathe more easily. Dr. Elena Torres stood at the observation deck of the Global Space Communication Center, gazing at Earth from high above the mountains. The night sky stretched endlessly, stars twinkling silently, as if offering a quiet approval. Beside her, Ravi quietly observed the same scene. Can you believe it?
Ravi asked softly.
We actually did it. Humanity survived the test. Elena smiled, though a trace of solemnity remained in her eyes. Yes, we survived.
But survival is just the beginning.
Now, we have to keep proving ourselves worthy. The aliens gave us knowledge and guidance, but it's up to us to use it wisely. That responsibility will never end. Across the world, people were embracing a new era. Governments shared technology freely. Communities worked together to restore ecosystems, and international cooperation became the foundation for progress. Schools taught the lessons learned during the test: empathy, unity, and moral responsibility. Citizens no longer saw themselves merely as individuals or nations. They saw themselves as part of a single species, responsible for each other and the planet. Even regions that had resisted the aliens' guidance learned the lessons of their past choices. They rebuilt their societies, guided by the successes of cooperative neighbors. Slowly, humanity began to heal divisions that had persisted for centuries. In the Global Space Communication Center, Elena and her team received one final transmission from the aliens. There were no words this time, only a vision: Earth, glowing in green light, thriving and alive, humanity working together in harmony with nature and technology. The message was clear: approval, acknowledgement, and a silent invitation to continue growing. Elena felt a deep sense of awe. "They didn't just save us," she said quietly. "They made us see ourselves, and what we could become if we acted as one."
Ravi nodded.
"Do you think they'll return?"
Elena shook her head slowly. "I don't know. Maybe they won't need to. We've been given the tools and the choice. The rest is up to us."
The day the aliens answered back was the moment we were shown who we really are, and who we can be. As the weeks passed, the world settled into a new rhythm. Cooperation, empathy, and shared responsibility became guiding principles. Cities glowed with sustainable energy, forests expanded, and oceans recovered. Humanity had learned a crucial truth: survival was not about conquest, dominance, or knowledge alone. It was about how people acted toward one another. Even though the alien presence had vanished from direct contact, their influence lingered in the lessons they had taught. Every citizen who planted a tree, helped a neighbor, shared knowledge, or chose cooperation over selfishness remembered the test and the consequences that had been shown. On the night of the first anniversary of the alien's answer, Elena returned to the observation deck once more. She looked at the stars, now familiar and comforting, and whispered, "We were given a choice, and we made it. The future is ours to shape. We will not forget." Ravi joined her silently, and together they watched the earth below, alive with light, life, and possibility. The planet had survived, humanity had survived, and a new era of hope had begun. And somewhere far beyond the stars, the alien observers looked on, their purpose fulfilled. Humanity had proven itself worthy, not through force or intelligence, but through unity, responsibility, and moral growth. The day the aliens answered back would be remembered forever, not just as the moment contact was made, but as the moment humanity chose to rise together, proving that even a young and flawed species could embrace its potential for greatness. The world had changed, forever, and for the first time, humans understood that the future of their planet, and themselves, depended on every choice they made, every day, together.